Kid Cudi said that he believes Diddy broke into his Hollywood home and was behind the torching of his Porsche.
We had explosive testimony, high-profile witness, none other than Kid Cudi himself, that Sean Combs had blown up Kid Cudi's car. Talk to us about that.
The Diddy trial has erupted into full-blown chaos after Kid Cudi's Bombshell car bomb confession. And let's be real, it's the kind of scandal Hollywood wishes it could script.
Kid Cudi says Diddy broke into his house and messed with the dog. Oh boy.
How do you even begin to spin a Molotov cocktail allegedly being thrown into a Porsche 911 out of pure jealousy? If these allegations are true, Diddy's image as a mogul isn't just tarnished, it's incinerated.
Something that we have kind of known about for a while now, right? Because it was actually laid out in Cassie's federal lawsuit, which we know was filed one day, settled the next day, back in November of 2023.
Let's talk about the wildest part of this Diddy trial, an actual car bomb. Yeah, you heard that right. This isn't a Hollywood movie. This is real life.
Focusing now on the racketeering, this evidence that Kid Cudi brought in yesterday through the government's calling him as a witness helps to establish the arson that is alleged as one of many acts that the government has alleged in that attribution. But the arson is a big piece of it, and they offered not only the photographs, but also the testimony of Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi's Porsche 911, a sleek convertible that screamed luxury, ended up a burned-out wreck in January 2016. The reason? A Molotov cocktail. This wasn't some random act of vandalism.
That he believes that Diddy was responsible for this arson of his Porsche automobile. So yes, there was an arson. Yes, evidence was offered of it.
No, this was personal, targeted, and downright terrifying.
Looking at the photos, Kid Cudi explained, it looked, quote, like the top of my Porsche was cut open.
The details are insane. The soft top of the Porsche was sliced open, and then someone threw a Molotov cocktail inside, torching the car from the inside out. The result? Charred leather, melted dashboard, and a smell of burned fuel and plastic that probably haunted the block for weeks.
12, Kid Cudi said his dog watcher called him from his home to tell him his car was on fire.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, right?
Kid Cudi wasn't even home when it happened. His dog sitter called him in a panic like, "Your car's on fire." Can you imagine that phone call? The cops showed up, but it wasn't like they were about to figure out who did it overnight.
Kid Cudi did testify that Cassie Ventura told him there was physical abuse in her relationship with Combs, that he would sometimes hit and kick her, which bothered Kid Cudi, but he did not hear about any sexual abuse.
And then, boom, years later, this trial happens, and it all clicks into place. Cassie Ventura, who you might know as Diddy's ex, drops the real tea. She testified that Diddy had straight up threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car. That's not just petty, that's dangerous on a whole other level. Diddy allegedly couldn't handle the fact that Cassie had moved on even briefly with Kid Cudi. So what does he do? Turns his jealousy into what looks like straight up arson. If Cassie's words are true, this wasn't a random act of destruction. It was premeditated.
He said he met Ventura in 2008 and they were just friends. They started dating around 2011. He thought that they were having problems, Ventura and Combs, by 2011, that they weren't dating anymore.
Now let's rewind to how we even got here. Cassie and Kid Cudi's short-lived relationship. It wasn't even some grand romance. They dated for a hot minute in 2011. But for Diddy, that was enough to go full scorched earth.
Kid Cudi says Diddy broke into his house and messed with the dog. Oh boy, this is scary. It's like, this feels like it's out of one of those mafia movies, right?
According to Cassie, he wasn't just mad, he was obsessed. She claimed he was possessive to the point of being scary AF. Break-ins, threats, it's giving major red flags.
Kid Cudi says Diddy broke into his LA home after finding out he was dating Cassie, and he says Diddy screwed with his pooch.
Arson goes, a Molotov cocktail inside Kid Cudi's Porsche. This happened on January 9th of 2016. So it was just about a week or two after he and Cassie had even broken up.
And after 2 weeks of that car incident, Diddy allegedly broke into Kid Cudi's home. Yep, broke in.
He said that he was over at his ex-girlfriend's sister's house at this time and he got a call from his dog's babysitter.
He reportedly tampered with the security cameras, which is mad sketchy, and even freaked out Kid Cudi's dog. Like, who does that? The whole thing screams intimidation. And let's not forget, this is Diddy, one of the biggest names in the music industry. The man had the power, money, and influence to get away with a lot. And if you believe Cassie's testimony, he wasn't afraid to use it. But let's get back to that Porsche. The burning car wasn't just about revenge, it was a message. Kid Cudi confronted Diddy about it later at Soho House in Hollywood. The vibes were icy, to say the least.
When Kid Cudi asked Combs about the damage to his car, Combs said, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Diddy denied everything with what Cudi described as a cold stare and basically said, "I don't know what you're talking about." That's classic gaslighting behavior right there. And yet, Cudi was left shaken, because even if Diddy didn't outright admit it, the threat was clear.
These were people who were in Sean Combs' inner circle, a man who's accused of running a sex trafficking and...
Fast forward to now, and this whole thing is coming out in court. Diddy's not just facing accusations of violent retaliation against Kid Cudi. Oh no, the charges go way deeper. Racketeering, sex trafficking, and a whole pattern of using his power to silence and intimidate. The car bombing is just one piece of the puzzle, but it's a big one. It's the kind of story that makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about the glitz and glamour of celebrity life.
Years later, 2015, so 3 years later at a club, Combs pulled Kid Cudi aside, and Kid Cudi said Combs apologized to him.
And here we come. Diddy supposedly drops a cryptic apology years later in 2015, but it's not exactly a sorry for burning your car moment. You know, the kind of shady half apology that screams guilt but keeps you safely on the side of the fence. Classic move for someone who's been playing the Hollywood game too long.
And clearly this guy, who is like kind of badass in his own right, was afraid of Sean Combs because he didn't know what he was capable of. But to your point, or did he?
And that's just one move in Diddy's alleged intimidation playbook. This guy's got a whole history of flexing power to control and retaliate against anyone who crosses him. The trial's been peeling back layers, revealing a pattern that's mad disturbing. We're not just talking about petty celebrity drama here. This is full-on don't mess with me or else energy with real consequences. If you've stuck with me this far, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss what's coming next on this wild ride.
And he testified about 3 instances where he witnessed violence.
George Kaplan's testimony, he made it clear. Diddy's basically Hollywood's untouchable kingpin, rich, influential, and shielded by an army of lawyers and connections. It's like watching a toxic power struggle play out on the biggest stage, except it's not a movie, it's real AF.
He didn't actually see Sean Combs commit this arson, and there hasn't been testimony of anyone who actually saw Combs there or that more directly links him to that arson.
And he also witnessed the violent incident to Cassie 3 times.
If Kid Cudi says, so-and-so told me that this happened, that's classic hearsay.
In this case, it's shining a light on that darker side of celebrity life that no one wants to admit exists.
They've also alleged kidnapping and bribery and forced labor and sex trafficking and drug distribution.
Now let's talk about Kid Cudi for a second. Because while the headlines love to hype the drama, the real story here is about a star who's way more vulnerable than you'd expect. Cudi's testimony wasn't just cold facts, it was raw emotion spilling out. He talked about how this whole ordeal shook him to his core, how he felt unsafe, powerless, and honestly victimized by a man with way more power and resources. That's heavy AF. It's easy to forget that even celebrities aren't bulletproof. Behind the cameras and spotlight, they're just people trying to navigate madness. But as the experts said, since Kid did not directly witness, his testimony might be objective.
I don't know what Kid Cudi knows firsthand, but if it is hearsay, this may be very frustrating.
Cudi's story shows that no matter how famous or talented you are, you can still get caught in someone else's toxic web. And that's what makes this trial so important. It's not just about Diddy and his antics. It's about exposing the fragile realities of those caught in the crossfire. Meanwhile, Diddy's public image, the mogul, the businessman, the music legend, it's getting torn apart by these sinister allegations, revealing a side of celebrity life that most folks only guess at. So yeah, this whole Soho House confrontation, the car bombing, the threats, it's more than just wild gossip. It's a glimpse into how power, jealousy, and intimidation collide in the darkest corners of Hollywood. And with every bombshell testimony, this trial keeps proving that sometimes the real drama isn't on the red carpet. It's behind closed doors, where the stakes are way higher and the consequences way more serious.
We don't know exactly what it is, and frankly, I'm not even sure the defense knows what Kid Cudi is going to say.
And speaking about the trial, it's made sketchy and way bigger than just one car going up in flames. The prosecution isn't throwing a single oops moment on the table like, nah, they're out here painting a full-on brutal mosaic and showing Diddy's violent intimidation moves as part of a whole damn pattern. That car bombing, just one piece in a nasty chess game of threats, fear, and control.
It seems like they're ready to lunge on this hearsay point.
So what's next? The verdict? It's like waiting for your favorite show's next season. Everyone's on edge. If Diddy catches heavy consequences, it could wreck his career and legacy, no cap. On the flip side, Kid Cudi, Cassie, and the others who spoke up might finally get justice and some peace. This trial could shake the whole industry's foundation, spotlighting power abuse that's been buried way too long. As this saga unfolds, one thing's clear. Hollywood's darkest secrets ain't staying hidden much longer. The walls have ears, and now they're spilling all the tea. Like this video and comment below. We want to hear your take on justice, power, and this wild ride.